There's a moment every man remembers, the moment he sees a woman he wants, and before he can even make a move, another guy, someone who doesn't look richer, taller, or stronger, gets her instantly. And you're left wondering, what does he have that I don't? That question stings because deep down, you feel like you're missing a code nobody ever taught you, but every man is expected to know. Here's the truth most men never hear. Attraction isn't fair, and it's not logical. Women don't choose based on who tries the hardest or who would treat them the best. They choose based on emotional signals, subtle, invisible, and powerful cues that only a small percentage of men naturally project. And when a man understands these signals, he doesn't have to chase, impress, or prove himself. Women feel him before they even fully notice him. Most men think they're losing because they're not good enough, not tall enough, not confident enough, not successful enough. But the real reason is simpler and more painful. No one taught you how to activate the instincts women respond to. You were told to be nice, respectful, patient, polite. And while those traits matter, they never create initial attraction. They create comfort, and comfort without attraction is the quickest way to become invisible. Meanwhile, the men who get her instantly aren't superhumans. They're not perfect, they're not flawless. They're men who project certainty instead of seeking validation. They speak with intention instead of hesitating. They make a woman feel something instead of trying to be the good guy. They walk into the room with a sense of direction, a sense of groundedness, a sense that their world is already full, and she can join it, but she is not the center of it. And you've probably seen it before, a man who barely says a word, yet women look at him twice. A man who isn't the most handsome, but his presence hits differently. A man who doesn't try, but somehow gets what other men fight for. That's not luck, it's not manipulation, it's not genetics. It's the mastery of inner signals women pick up instantly. Confidence without arrogance, purpose without pressure, calm without fear. If you're tired of watching other men get what you want, if you've ever felt invisible next to someone who didn't deserve her attention more than you, stay with me, because the truth you're about to hear has the power to change your entire reality. The reason some men get her instantly begins with the energy they carry the moment they step into a room. Women don't consciously analyze it, they feel it. It's subtle, like a frequency only they can detect. And the first part of that frequency is this: a man who doesn't need her attention to feel valuable. Most men walk into interactions hoping for approval without even realizing it. They over-smile, over-explain, or try to earn the moment. But the men she gravitates toward walk in with a quiet certainty, like they already know who they are, with or without her interest. Women are naturally drawn to emotional leadership. Not dominance, not control, leadership. The ability to hold your ground without being shaken by her reactions, her beauty, or her silence. When a man's emotions are stable, when he isn't flustered or desperate for reassurance, he becomes magnetic. She knows she can relax around him because he's already relaxed within himself. That sense of safety, strength, and direction is something she recognizes instantly, even before she understands why. Another reason some men get her instantly is the way they communicate without trying to impress. While most men talk to perform, these men speak with an effortless rhythm. They don't rush. They don't fill every gap in conversation. They're comfortable with silence because silence doesn't scare them, it strengthens them. That calm tone tells her, "I'm not here to chase you. I'm here to see if you're aligned with my world." And that flips a switch in her mind. She's used to men trying too hard. But this man feels different. He also reads the room intuitively. When she sends a signal, he notices. When she pulls back, he doesn't panic. When she tests him, a natural part of attraction, he doesn't crumble or overreact. He responds with steadiness. Women are biologically wired to evaluate emotional capability. A man who collapses under pressure fails that test instantly. But a man who stands firm earns her interest before he says a single charming word. Most important of all, these men emit a sense of direction, not just success, not just ambition, a clear path. Women are deeply drawn to men who wake up knowing who they are and where they're going. A man with purpose doesn't chase distractions. And nothing draws a woman in faster than a man who seems unstoppable, not because of ego, but because of intention. There's another reason some men get her instantly, and it has nothing to do with looks or money. It's the way they make her feel seen, not in a romantic way, not in a desperate way, but in a grounded, observant, almost surgical way. Most men talk to women while trying to hide their nerves, but the men she reacts to, they notice her. They pick up on her tone, the shift in her posture, the hesitation between her words. Not to manipulate her, not to decode her, but to understand her. Women aren't used to being understood. They're used to being pursued. And understanding hits deeper than any compliment ever could. These men don't assume. They don't project. They listen. And when they speak, they respond to her, not the fantasy most men carry in their head. That emotional precision is rare. It's also incredibly attractive because it tells her, I'm present with you, not performing for you. Presence is the currency women value most, even if they've never said it out loud. But here's the twist. This kind of man doesn't overinvest that presence. He gives just enough to show depth, but he also pulls back with intention. That balance, attention without attachment, is what hooks her. It keeps her curious, engaged, and subtly off balance in a way she can't quite explain. She starts wondering what he's thinking, what he's feeling, whether she has his attention or not. That uncertainty is where attraction breathes. And let's address something powerful. These men don't pedestalize women, ever. Not because they're arrogant, but because they've done the inner work. They respect themselves first, and because of that, they naturally expect respect in return. A man who respects his own boundaries, time, and emotional energy creates a gravitational pull. Women feel it instantly, and it changes how they behave around him. They soften, they open up, they treat him differently because they recognize, on an instinctive level, that he's not someone they can push around or take for granted. Another thing? These men don't get thrown off by beauty. A stunning woman walks into the room, and while other men get flustered, this man stays centered. Not unimpressed, just unfazed. He evaluates her with the same calm he applies to everything else. That instantly elevates him in her eyes because suddenly she feels like the one being evaluated. That role reversal shifts the dynamic in his favor before the first word is even spoken. There's a moment every woman experiences when she meets a certain kind of man. It's subtle, almost invisible, but powerful enough to shift the entire interaction. It happens when she realizes he isn't trying to impress her. He isn't trying to win her. He isn't trying to position himself as better or worthy. Instead, he moves with a quiet confidence that says, I decide who enters my life, just as much as you do. That energy changes everything. Most men don't realize this, but women are experts at reading intention. They sense it in your eyes, your voice, your pace, your posture. And the men who get her instantly, they carry an intention that is clean, self-assured, and pressure-free. He's not imagining a future with her. He's not trying to convince her of his value. He's simply seeing who she is and whether she fits into his world. That mindset is shockingly rare, and women feel its difference immediately. There's something else most men never understand. Women don't fall for the man who gives them the most attention. They fall for the man who gives them the right kind of attention, measured, intentional, and rooted in standards. The type of man who gets her instantly doesn't pedestalize her. He doesn't view her as the prize just because she's attractive. He views her as a possibility, not a possession. And that shift in dynamic flips the script completely. When a woman meets a man who isn't dazzled by her beauty, who isn't destabilized by her charm, who doesn't crumble under her tests, she becomes curious, and curiosity is the seed of attraction. These men understand something simple but profound. Women test what they feel drawn to. So when she pulls back emotionally, when she tries to provoke weakness, insecurity, or neediness, he doesn't react, he doesn't chase, he doesn't plead. Instead, he stays grounded, because he knows her test is not an attack, it's a measurement. She's measuring consistency, emotional stability, strength. She wants to see if his confidence collapses under pressure, or if it's real, unshakable, and self-generated. And when she sees that he remains exactly who he is, that nothing she does can manipulate his emotional state, her respect grows. Respect is the foundation of female attraction. Without it, nothing lasts. These men also carry a different presence when they walk into a room. Not because they're loud, not because they're trying to dominate, but because they operate with purpose. A man with a direction becomes attractive without even trying. His goals naturally create boundaries. He doesn't give endless time or emotional energy, not because he's cold, but because he is busy building something. Women admire that. Women respect that. And women are drawn to it instinctively. But the biggest difference? These men refuse to negotiate their standards. They don't tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or games. They don't abandon their values for temporary affection. And because they don't lower the bar to keep someone, the right women rise to meet it. That's why these men get results others never do. They filter instead of chasing. They choose instead of begging. They lead instead of following emotional chaos. A woman can sense when a man values himself. She can feel when he's grounded in identity rather than performance. And in that moment, she responds, not because he demands respect, but because he inspires it. That inspiration is what makes her want to invest, commit, and stay. It's what makes her see him not as an option, but as a man worth earning. There's a final truth most men never hear, and once you understand it, everything about women and your success with them changes forever. Women don't fall for the man who tries the hardest. They fall for the man who lives the strongest, the man whose life has momentum, the man who doesn't wait for love to give him meaning because he already walks with meaning. And when a woman encounters a man like that, she feels something she can't ignore: safety, purpose, and direction. This is why some men get her instantly. They're not performing. They're not bending themselves into shapes to impress her. They're not auditioning for a role she hasn't offered. They simply stand in their identity, rooted and calm. And that calmness is powerful. It tells her without words, I choose you because I want to, not because I need to. And women always gravitate toward choice, not desperation. But here's the twist. Most men sabotage themselves by overexposing their intentions. They rush. They reveal too much too soon. They hand over emotional access before a woman has earned it. And when she feels that imbalance, when she senses he's invested more than she is, her attraction fades. Not because she's cold, not because she's manipulative, but because human nature responds to value. What comes too easily is rarely appreciated. The man who gets her instantly understands pacing. He lets the connection breathe. He doesn't pressure outcomes. He lets her curiosity grow. Because women fall deepest when they discover a man, not when he dumps everything on the table, hoping to convince her. Mystery is not about hiding. It's about revealing intentionally, piece by piece, at a rhythm that keeps her emotionally engaged. And there's something else. These men embrace accountability. They don't blame women for their failures. They don't hide behind excuses. They look at their life, their habits, their mindset, and they adjust. Growth is masculine. Progress is attractive. Responsibility is magnetic. A woman respects a man who leads himself. That's the man she trusts. That's the man she follows. That's the man she remembers.